in between my leg and whatever you call, maybe it's a gooch. It's gotten so bad because I've quit cigarettes and I've quit being around horrible people for the most part. So my body has started processing all the garbage out. Here we have a license plate that says KCY, and my name is Casey, and the door is already open for me. There's my crown, that's my bling, always drama when I rain. Get this shit. It's freezing. It is below freezing out. Well, like I'm healing, I'm molting. Let's lift my fly up. No cigarettes, I've quit. Bitch. I am limping. This stuff. You know what makes me feel better? These berry boosts. Do they have the big protein? Yes, for $6. But that's not the brightness I'm looking for. Looking for probably the amazing mango. One amazing mango. What the fuck? What the fuck? Why did the rainforest just call out to me from the produce section? Hello. Oh, I just want to see a dirty place. What's up? Why are you so mad? Submit to my will like a dog you are, you fat fuck. He was giving me such dirty looks for existing. Oh, I feel him tugging on my energy now. Look, he had to turn around and now the demons are after him. So, I think I have the mango. What else do we want, man? I want the mango. Before I leave this aisle, you gotta make a decision. Are we getting the mango or are we getting the blueberry? I'm looking for a bunch. You saw he had to turn around and just steal all the energy he could. That's called an attack. You fat fuck. What do you think he was looking at? What was he pretending to look at? Because he was staring at me the whole time. Mango. Left to right, mango. We want the mango. God, I can feel it. How do I describe this? I don't know how to describe it. It's basically like they're all dead inside. They're possessed by some type of robot entity living in the spiritual realm, the electromagnetic spectrum, and that's taken with. So what would be their state of love and consciousness has been replaced. So I'll show you how everyone is twitching. They walk in a constant attack. So there's someone behind me. I don't know if you can't see it. You can't see it, but when I raise the vibration, they'll all get triggered and start to come at me. Oh shit. They've reduced the ravioli to $6.99, which is why I was called to come into this price chopper by an entity. It said, go eat some ravioli. You love ravioli in the wintertime. And then I got here, and the ravioli is on sale. Fried chicken meal for $14.99. I don't know. I know that something jumped out of that old man and attacked me. And now I feel possessed. And cold. So I have this. Do you have good energy? I don't know. It was a lot easier to do personal readings in Leo season because I could fight back the hundreds of people that are constantly trying to bring me down, man. Yep. If you notice, it's very quiet, but when I walk by, they stomp and do loud noises. What's up, bro? Question for you. It says freshly reduced. Do I need the store advantage card for that?
You shouldn't know, but
okay.
I can put it in.
Okay, cool.
Please remove all objects. Welcome to Price Chopper.
No, don't.
Please place the item in the bag.
Okay. And then, sorry to bother you. If it'll... Okay.
Please proceed with your...
I see it. Cool. I appreciate it, man.
Please enter the number of bags you wish to purchase.
Okay.
Are there...
I got the fork.
Select your method of payment from the choices. Follow the instructions on the card.
How do you like working at Price Chopper?
It's something else.
Something else? I hate it, man. I walk through here. I've got like this shit on my back like this. People follow me through the store everywhere.
Please remove...
Like the angry blue collar workers. So like,
Price Chopper.
I can't imagine how it must be for a kid, bro. Yeah. It's not everywhere though. Like Vermont's a great place. Yeah. I've been to Boston. I ride through Massachusetts. It seems like Vermont, but everyone just likes being mean, you know? Some parts, yeah.
I'm from Cape Cod, so like,
yeah.
It's like a nice area down there. Like everybody's like, a lot of people from Cape Cod for each other. So.
Yeah.
So it's like a good area.
Yeah, it's not bad here, bro. This is a nice area too.
Yeah.
Look at the cowboy. But you'd call me homeless. Okay. Now, the fit of the day, bro. Check this out. So I'm trying to get eventually, there's this limited edition leather jacket that I want to get because it'll be warm for the winter. They're stealing my energy, man. They're stealing my energy, bro. It sucks. I know it's such a repetitive thing. Every single day I talk about the same shit, but it's really happening. and I get progress updates like from tarot readers. I like literally wake up in the morning and I have tarot readers that are explaining to me what I'm going through, word by word, and they're telling me it's getting better, and I seem to be feeling better. Ugh. This shit hurts. Okay, the left side is fine. This shit itches. Okay. Tate Brothers. You fucking bitch. This is gonna hurt. Fuck you. Ouch. Okay. Water. Okay. They probably think I'm shooting up. I'm wiping a cowboy rash because I've been riding them railroad slopes too long, fam, too goddamn long. I'll tell you what, and I'll do it again. Wow. Motherfucker, it hurts really bad. I put soap on. I put a bunch of soap on the wound, and it hurts real bad. Real trap shit. Come on. Okay. So it is below freezing out. I've been looking at little different heaters that won't kill me if I put it on. But I'm also trying to find a tent that can get me through winter. Because it's gonna snow next week. We're gonna get 8 inches of snow. And I'll be out here, bruh. I will be outside. Like a real man. Here we got this, we got this. Put it on my duster to go back out into the apocalyptic wastes. I'm sitting up so I don't get stabbed. It hurts, man. It really hurts. Let's go. Okay.
Yeah, bro, you too. Let's go.
I don't wanna fight now. So I'll tell you, baby, it was easy coming back into you once I figured it out. You were right here all along. I don't wanna fight for now. So I tell you, baby, it was easy coming back into you once I figured it out. You were right here all along. I don't wanna fight for now. It was easy coming back into you once I figured it out. That kid was real mad. And there was the gang stalker that I pointed out earlier was just standing there waiting for me to come out of the bathroom. I don't know if I caught it on camera because I didn't want it to be obvious I was recording. But the one guy that I identified as the gang stalker that was targeting me and following me was waiting right there for me. After I did a transformative ritual in the bathroom that brought me to a literal new multiverse dimension. Now, what's this say? It says, ah, sugar. There's a red card that says, ah, sugar. All right. Okay. Appreciate you, sir. Let's go. I don't want to play. I'm not using my handlebars. Here we have a spooky setting. You fucking bitch. It's very cold. The wind chill cuts through this leather jacket, duster, hoodie, and shirt like 1,000 little tiny knives. This is my first year with Lyme's disease. I think I have Lyme's disease because my body used to be able to generate heat, and now I am cold even in like 90-degree weather. Okay. Oh, you were zoomed in on my head the whole time. I fucking knew it. I knew I did not have the right angle. So we're looking through the trash right now, as we do when we go to Price Chopper, because sometimes they throw out. Nope. It's already been raided by the homeless people. John took my fucking bolt house farms. I was paying attention to when they were going to throw it out, and I was trying to get ahead of the curve, and someone else got to it before me. And I don't have a way to heat up my ravioli, so I'm going to be eating it cold. But you know what? Suck it up, Buttercup. We have cops that rape women here. I'm right in the middle of a generational long sex trafficking industry that goes back to the Native Americans. And I've interrupted that. And I post content about it, and then suddenly all of the things that I use that help me through life go missing, like my grill. It's almost like the more that I help the indigenous people, the worse these whiny police that got caught raping a minor and only got 30 days act towards me. It's almost like they don't want publicity for what they did. Coming back into you once I figured it out. Yep, my gang stalker was waiting there. He was just waiting there, standing there, staring at me. He doesn't realize his thoughts are not his own. Oh God, I can't see the dent in the ground with the leaves. The leaves are covering all the potholes. Okay. I'm very cold. Right here alone. I don't wanna fight for now. Tell you, baby, it was easy. Come on, baby. Once I figured it out. Yeah, all psychicship is, or mediumship is being able to be so present to the moment and then open to interpret without bias what's happening in different channels of imaginative bandwidth. So it's just, you've opened yourself up probably through many traumas to be able to perceive other levels of reality. And then your skills are just, how much can you pick up on? Because they believe there's no such thing as the past or future. We're always in the present moment. So all they're doing is just picking up on things happening. Kind of like being able to just connect to somebody's Wi-Fi and look at what all the tabs that are open and the processes that are going down. Geminis need to keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate anything. Keep it simple. Keep it compact. Lots of people need to hear what you have to offer, but don't ever let make sure that you understand that for the most part you're going to be the best way to describe it is inheriting. So when you inherit something, when somebody dies and you take all their stuff, it's kind of like that. Geminis, everywhere you go, you're kind of inheriting all of the air. So like the the knowledge and all the different like paradigms and like presets and cultural norms and motifs that are around you, you're gonna be like this kind of it's like a fire. It depends on your moon sign. So whatever your moon sign is, you're gonna be like a ball expressing to everyone in the room whatever everything you've picked up in the style of your moon sign. So you're everywhere you go, it's like you're breathing in and out the communities that you're a part of, the big social groups that you're in. Most Geminis have a large like group of people that they're always around, whether it's like a family dynamic, they have a big family, or they have a big friend group. Geminis are always trying to get more and more information. So to just understand that, take some time in isolation to recognize who you are, and then that way you can know the differences between who you are and all the stuff that you're going to be breathing in and out all day, so that you can caretake, cultivate, and express the right vibes that you want to yourself. That's why Kendrick is the voice of the culture. He puts out compact bits of information and knowledge, whereas Drake is spraying his feelings out like a Scorpio, and Jay-Z is offering wisdom philosophically to give people insights on how to live life the best way as a Sagittarius. Does that make sense? And Nipsey Hussle was trapping out of one location in the center of his hood, and then he turned that into his own clothing store where people come in and wear his clothes that he created out of passion, like a Leo. Just like my dad is a Leo, and he spent his whole life on a mountain until he became the legend of Mount Snow. If you're still here, that's my best judgment on a Gemini sign. Their best, it depends on their moon. Air signs, really air signs, the moon matters a lot. Whatever your moon is, you're an expressive force. So Geminis are like, with astrology, anything to do with the inner world, emotions, thoughts, passion, creativity, sex, love, it's all elemental. The elements are a big part of it. It's split up into elements, and those elements are like the angels versus archangels, like the overarching manager of how your information is expressed. So if you have like a fire moon and an air sun, then you'll be going through picking up on all the creative energies and the passionate, expressive forces of the people, like the I don't know the best way to put it, other than elements, like it's elemental. Like people that are air signs, like my mom is an Aquarius Cancer, so I mean, she's a pretty obvious representation of that, because all she's doing is taking in all the sadness around her and then freaking out about it, blowing the narrative way out of proportion about something that really makes her upset. And all she does is like go places and get really upset about things and then blow it way out of proportion. But I know like every Gemini I know is usually like, but I mean, those Geminis are around me, so they're picking up on the Sagittarius. Like I wouldn't say that Geminis are naturally adventurous and carefree. But I think that if you look at an astrological chart, like every of the olden day paintings that would describe astrology, you see that there's a river that flows through Sagittarius through Gemini. So from Sagittarius down into Gemini, that's called the river of truth. So Geminis and Sagittarius have this grounded sense of like constant impulses of what I'd call the common denominator of reality. So Geminis and Sagittarius don't really go over, like they only really go overboard and off the handle because the people, like the world that they're going through, like whatever adventure the Sagittarius is on, or all the different people that the Gemini is working with or living with, those people are deceitful pieces of garbage, like the contrast to the truth. When you have a bunch of pieces of shit around, then it makes them freak out because they know it almost feels like they're trapped in like a world. It's like they're trapped in an escape room or a gauntlet or like a room, an overwhelming world. Because they know something's not right. Whereas the other signs kind of, they feel like, that's just an expression of life. You put on a character and you play a role and you go do what you want to do. And it's obvious that it doesn't have to be like so serious. If that makes sense. I had a fork, and then my fork disappeared. I had a goddamn fork, and then my fucking fork has left the building. Okay. We're on a hunt for my fork. I don't want to go all the way back there, but I know that's the only place that you can get plastic silverware. Cold ravioli. On a freezing New England night before a snowstorm. On the 10th. Tomorrow is the 11th. Yep, it looks like all my stuff's been cleaned out. I had a bunch of forks down there hidden. What's in the food scraps? What the fuck? Somebody at the dollar store they be drinking, man. Oh, we got a live one, boys. We got a tub of my old ice cream, but I did not throw the spoon away because I'm smart, and I thought that I could leave it somewhere else. And they found my spoon. Yeah, the police are not returning my calls. Oh shit, look. I turned around and the fork that I was missing fell out of somewhere. I wasn't checking my pockets. It must have been like hanging off something. Or they just materialized it behind me. Who knows? Oh, but the police that raped that girl, that when I publicized it on YouTube, they stole my car and all my things and my studio and a lot of expensive stuff and a lot of mementos I'll never get back. I've been trying to call them for months to get my stuff back, and they have not returned my calls. So I'm just assuming it's a Truman Show, and that there's something that needs to happen inside. I need to be housing some type of light that then everybody will try to do as I say again. There are times when I can meditate and there's something that goes into my spirit that I go through the day and everybody's just kind of interested in me and wants to be around me and wants to get really close to me because they want to take it for themselves. So I'm assuming if I can get that back in meditation, if I get in the sunlight long enough and I get away from the crows, then they'll at least answer the phone because their subconscious impulse will be like, oh, he's putting it out there, let's take it. And then if I had a second phone, I would record it for content. So the world can see them get trapped in their own pride and prejudice and not serve the community. And maybe one day I could edit it enough that people that are scrolling will be interested in what they're seeing and actually make a change. How's everyone doing? I just want to do a quick check-in if anybody... Does anyone know what happened to Susie? I know Susie... I think Susie goes to other people's channels that she sees on the live streams. Somehow Susie's racking up subscribers. So I figured she's probably in a lot of different communities. So if anyone... Ready when I'm lonely? I'm never lonely because I know there's a skunk right over there. Behind those things, I used to live in a tent right there for the past 2 months, and every night a skunk would come out, and he got so comfortable around me that he felt safe around me that he dug a new nest next to my tent because he knew that when there's a fox that comes through at night, and I block the fox from the skunk so the skunk can come out here and eat safely. So the skunk came and hung out with me there. I know that in the morning, all the birds that are in these trees are going to wake up and they're going to start singing. And usually if I can hold the meditation long enough, most of them have probably gone south or they're hibernating. A lot of the songs are different and the birds are kind of gone wherever they go. But usually they would wake up and they'd all say good morning to each other and they'd come say good morning to me because I've learned how to be present enough to understand the emotional electromagnetic communication and telepathy between the birds and the Higgs field. So they say good morning to me too. They know that I have traumas and like they know that when they try to, usually like birds will come try and then there's like, I don't know how to talk to you, I'm sorry, but I'll try to sing, and they teach me to sing a little bit. Like they'll do their song over and over again until I get it. And then when I get it right, they'll fly away, and sometimes they'll come back and check up on me to make sure I can still sing the right way, and then they'll leave. But then the crows are assholes and they come in and take all the energy. They want everyone to submit to their will. They fly high enough that we can't do anything about it. They'll follow children and then find their parents and then degrade their parents to a point that they get full of negative energy, and then the parents will start to lash out at the kids and the crows will laugh. Crows are pieces of shit and they follow me around everywhere I go for years. So I hate the crows. For the most part, like I'm technically the most powerful psychic possible. Maybe if my astrological sign was different, if I wasn't a Sagittarius, if I was like a Cancer or something, but I'm born in the 11th, which means that like I've hung out with so many Cancers, I can sit in the 11 space and then take in the codes that I remember with photographic memory of what it was like to be around Cancers and what they do. So I could become a Cancer and feel it. Sometimes it takes a lot of work, and now in 2024 I'm in a lot of hostile environments. Like this town specifically, the police have a huge hold over the town, and when I break that hold, they slam on their sirens. So I'll be sitting here, it'll be dead quiet, and I do this on live streams. I'll start meditating, I'll break out of the network, I'll start to connect to higher powers or higher timelines or the infinite or the 5D or whatever you call it, the Tao Te Ching, Jesus, Christ consciousness. And then loud noises, cars slamming on their horns, people that have traumatized me in the past hundreds of miles away will just show up and park right in front of me and stare at me angrily and then speed off. Red cars follow me, crows come, the cops will scream. Loudspeakers on their thing just going, like slamming on the gas. Like sometimes they'll follow me around and just hit the brakes a little bit so the ceramic brakes will make this loud high-pitched screech at me. People will follow me through gas stations. So it's really, and the crows, so it's really hard to get to that space, but I'm still going every day. When you're lonely, you can't be lonely when you know you're never alone. So this is like my 24th year in complete isolation. So I don't mind. I get through the cold with food. The mango seems bright to my senses. When I drink the bright mango and it tastes bright to me. And then all the nice chemicals that are in here. The vitamin D, the potassium, the vitamin A and C, stuff like that. the vitamin B12s, the vitamins, when that goes in and it hits my gut, there's like this huge overwhelming like and then I use that to overcome all the loneliness and bad paradigms and all the horrible energy that I get hit with because my clothes are tattered up and people have prejudice and biases and they think I'm on drugs, so I can feel their hatred because they think that I'm freeloading they think that they're paying for me to get food and I'm not working. So they think that I'm just like a stain on their town and I'm like a pest. So and they've never experienced anything like what I've been through, so they don't feel there's anything wrong with being a beehive that stings me every day as I walk through it. But what they don't know is I sit like a parasite and I convert the entire subconscious collective energy of the towns. And then when I'm done with the town, I magically have to leave. Like right before the 11th, my comfort zone, my grill that kept me warm and was keeping me fed enough and comfortable enough that I wasn't going to leave. They took it away right when I passed a threshold in life. We had that huge event yesterday where I helped a bunch of indigenous farmers that were being brutalized and beat up by their farmhands like slavery for little money. Had left and were starting to protest. So they're technically homeless and they're traveling around Vermont protesting for all the farm workers that are still working. So yesterday I kept the security guards in check. I walked up to all the security guards, rode my bike in, and I looked like a literal cowboy with long indigenous hair with braids. So I rode in on the steed and I went and humbled all the Irish security guards that were freaking out, thinking that these guys were evil and trying to like use their white pride and prejudice to electromagnetically torture them and make them submit like dogs and then steal their energy and then use it against them like they did back in the day, which is what white culture is. So I kept them in check, I blocked them, and then I went in and rose the vibration of everybody in the area, and then I showed them how to scream a way that pushes back all the energy. And I remember I can still feel that all the kids were amazed because they could see what I was doing emotionally. And then within 3 hours, the local police had taken my grill and were out looking for me because I humbled a bunch of white people. And the Mexicans and the indigenous people were celebrating. So when you have a story like that, and then you have tons of tarot readers that were like, okay, I just saw that you made a bunch of Native Americans happy. I see that you're very cold, but your spirit team is telling you to keep going. And that the people that hate on you and watch you every day and try to steal your life force, they're not going to be able to, and that's why they're doubling down so hard. So expect a bunch of attacks today, just resist. And then I woke up and everything that I had was gone. So, and then I got followed through a store. And then just the regular stuff. So I'm just worried if I get a job. It feels like every time I get a job, there's something that happens spiritually where it's like all of my shit, like all the cool stuff that I had, all the attachments I had to like ancestors and all the songs that were in my heart. It's like as soon as I sign my life away on that piece of paper, whoever I'm talking to, like my employer, suddenly takes it all from me. And then it's been 3 different instances in the past 3 years where I got a job, and then as soon as I signed my life away, the employer just got up and started like emotionally beating me and then almost like whipping me, and they all laughed, and all the girls that liked me that were like, oh my god, he's cute, look at the new kid, as soon as I signed my life away and the employer stole it systematically, they were all like on him and trying to get with the employer. Like they ritualistically farmed me of my spiritual energy. And then I was just forced to wander lifelessly through the cold again. until I could piece it back together and keep going. And the birds help me along the way because nature has no expectations of us. It's just naturally nurturing. Even when there's a crow that's gonna go kill a mouse, and the mouse can feel that the crow is going to kill it, the mouse knows it's dead. I can still feel the mouse is kind of at peace. It's just like, yeah, it sucks, but it's life. Like the mouse is like in pain and kind of calling out to anything that can hear it, but I can feel that there's this sense of like the mouse is at peace either way during it. Like don't worry about me. And then I can feel that the crow is also like, I wish I didn't have to do this. Something about eagles, they don't really care. Hawks seem to kind of care, but eagles don't really give a fuck. It's not like they're mad. It's not like they're hateful towards the animals. But for some reason, like eagles, or maybe it's just that animals that hunt that aren't like cartoony like the crows, animals that really hunt, like the real apex predators, they don't show emotions that I can pick up on naturally. It's covered by their like camouflage to not alert the things that they're hunting in the electromagnetic spectrum. That's probably it. Because I've seen tons of eagles that land on people's shoulders and just hang out with them. So I think it's got to be that they're just able to tune it out. They have a discipline because they've learned that when they have any type of like fiery emotional stimulation of the network, then all the animals in the area will get triggered and run and flee. So it makes it harder. So I'm used to picking up on all the different animals and all the different bird chirps and mice running and skunks and ancestral aliens and demonic spirits and then whatever's in the trees and skinwalkers. And now I know they're called spirit walkers, these entities that I didn't understand what they were, that I find in between the dream realm and the real realm, or this world and the dream world. In between that, when I first wake up and I'm half in, half out, I see like dark beings with wings and horns like demons, and they're like beating the homeless people up and just constantly attacking them and attacking me because I can feel them and the channel's open. And I feel that there's these like long arms, short legs, like hairy, scaly almost, like this weird like tiered skin almost, like layered skin. And they have humanoid face, like they have no face, but the face can change. So sometimes it's humanoid, it could be anything. It's just like a blank slate that morphs based on its intentions. And those things are always around. And then there's like black shadows with red eyes. And then there are like blue aliens and lion people. And the closest thing I seen to angels are like just beings of light. Beings of pure light from like a higher frequency or vibration. So there's just too much going on to be lonely, really. No, so this guy that owns this hardware store is a nice guy. Multi-generational Vermonter. And we came in and talked about what's happening in the world. So there's been tons of people that go in, guns blazing, and say, there's a guy out there. And he's like, I know him, he's cool. What the fuck? Mind your fucking business. And then there's like tons and tons of Karens, cops, creeps, cunts, and crackheads that freak out at me. And white people like to form mobs. White communities love to form angry mobs, and they'll lie to do it. And my mom's done it to me too. Whatever they can do to get the people with guns angry enough to go kill the person or hurt the person because they feel like their status has been attacked by someone else's existence. So there's lots of that, but I pick my spots wisely. The most part I get is that I get people try to rob me a lot. People don't realize how, like, there's a major majority of the population that, if it was okay to, would go out and rape. Like, if it was a normal part of culture, even though, like, all the feelings that you would experience in raping, pain and terror, things that were scary about it and the trauma, if they could get away with it, a huge population of people that are alive right now would be out there hunting every day trying to find things that they could rape if rape was legal. I wouldn't. But something about me says, like, if I was a grotesque, ugly monster and I grew up that way, like, I definitely have a hatred for people. I don't think I would. I think it's just built in me. Whatever I've been through. I was thinking, like, I grew up I did self-development at 15, so by 16 I was pretty attractive. So I didn't have to worry about rejection. Because I had mentors that did pickup artistry for 10 years. So I knew, like, rejection is just how you came across. So just identify what went wrong and then change it. And then life became what would usually cripple men and make them close to suicide became a game for me. Self-development was like the best video game I could find. But there are people that have no idea anything like that. And those people are really sick mentally. And a lot of them target me, whether they realize they're doing it, whether they're doing it deliberately or subconsciously. They're doing it. So I deal with those types of guys all the time, and girls all the time. Every day, pretty much. So I had to buy an airsoft rifle, and that got people to stop messing with me. Like, nobody's tried me since. They had scouts, so whatever homeless people that come out and try to take what they can from the community and then go back to their area. When they found out I had a gun, the higher up came to check on me, so they went back to their nest, and then whoever's like above them in like functioning came and drove by, and I saw him clock me, and I could tell because I'd seen them before together. So that guy went and got the guy that has a job. So there's homeless people that are like scrounging and scavenging and addicted. And then there are pieces of shit that work jobs and then sell drugs to those guys. So one of those guys came at me. So I had to move my tent. Because those guys are the ones that will gang up on you at night. The guys that can militarize the junkies for their own agenda. What's up, Loca? How you been, Loca? I'm hoping Susie pops in. Susie's in like the middle of the hurricane. And I think that has Milton left? Is Milton over with? Or is it still going on? I'm all right. I helped an indigenous protest for migrant farm workers, and the police got really mad, so they took away my grill. So I wrote, "I'm cold" in barbecue sauce. And a bunch of people tried to, a bunch of homeless people made it hell for me to live where I was living, so I had to move my tent across town. And it's not a great area. It's like as soon as you go into that area, there's a scary vibe. Something about the area is like, makes you anxious when you go there, and the dogs get anxious when you go there. Like, I hear dogs freak out at when they enter that area on the trail all the time. But it's the only place I could be because nobody else wants to be there, probably because they have night terrors and shit. So I'm going live and talking because it keeps me warm. It's below freezing right now. And then eventually, in like maybe like a half hour, I'm going to go back to sleep, and in the morning I'll wake up, make more progress. It's just me scrounging Marketplace for things that would help my situation. Like, there's a bunch of totes that I can put now that if I get one of those totes with a cap on it, a lid, then I can I'd have an easier way to carry my stuff around than having to take like 3 different trips and have a bunch of bags hanging off my back. I'd have a tote, and then I could put straps on the tote and march around with the tote on my back. And that's a lot less dangly bits. Dangly bits capture the attention of the locals, and the locals are trapped in the matrix. So the more attention that I get from those bad people, it seems like the worse my experience gets, and the more they target me and try to siphon my life force energy. So I'm in the business of not getting spiritually raped. And what I've learned is that the better I look, it's like as soon as this jacket got rips on it, it got a lot worse. So once I get a nicer winter coat, I think that the experience will let up. So I'm slowly working towards moving. I'm going to be going into a war zone. The next place for me to go in order to if I want to get a job at all, I have to move into a war zone where the police are raping minors and peddling drugs. And it's overrun with 1,600 homeless people in a small town. But that's where they're paying $225 a day to just sit in a van and drive the van around Vermont. Doesn't that sound like heaven? So I'm working on that, trying to keep my songs in my heart. Before we get nuked. Because don't we have like 2 weeks until the election? Less than a month. And they hit Donald Trump's home state with the biggest hurricane they've ever seen. Then they hit the place with the biggest lithium reserves, and they started mining immediately. They wiped out an entire part of North Carolina, and then they bought it instantly and got to mining instantly. Then they burned down an entire island in Hawaii. Then they bought the island and started building doomsday bunkers immediately. Now they're burning down Canada, and then they're buying up Canada because China is buying up America. They're selling lots and lots of land in America to China, or they did it under their nose and it's too late now. But for whatever reason, now the American companies are buying Canada. So they're burning down those wildfires is just being bought up by America through insurance companies and the same organization that owns the world, BlackRock and Vanguard. What else is happening? Elon Musk gets asked about aliens every interview, and he always shies his head away and doesn't want to answer the question. Because I see aliens every single day. And I'm pretty sure I'm probably on their ship or something. In like a simulated reality. But you know, they didn't move the barbecue, they took it. They took it after I went against their community to help the indigenous people who were trying to spread awareness. Suddenly the thing I used for heat is taken away. Like, on a random Wednesday, I stay warm mostly through breath control. Like, I've become this kind of factory where I'm constantly pumping in negative energy, and then I'm gonna say it, why not? I used the tools I learned during Leo season and during winter time together to keep myself fully present to the moment, and then I radiate my frequency, my electromagnetic presence through my body, and I radiate that, and then I use the boundaries that I've learned, which I'm struggling with since all the traumas recently, but the stubbornness of my, I think it's probably my Taurus rising, and what I've been through in life, like growing up with with gaslighting, negative parents, and being in institutions that would torture you. That resilience I've learned to hold a space to work out my problems. I just combine the three, and then usually I can just say no to the cold, and I don't get cold. It's just like endurance you develop through being out here long enough. I gave a spiritual aspect because I want people to think that way, rather than just saying I've been out in the cold long enough that it doesn't affect me, because it still does. When cops, creeps, crows, cunts, and crackheads. Sometimes they'll rip at me and tear at me, and then I feel like I've lost all my spiritual Bitcoin, and then I can't even do the processes that I cultivated to keep myself warm, because it just doesn't exist in my system. They like wiped it from my hard drive and took it for themselves. So that's why I said the process that I use first, spiritually. Some nights it's hard. Some nights I have to I have to shrink into like this tiny little mouse in my body, and then just let go of my skin and disassociate into like a cave in my mind, and then that gets me through the sub-zero temp. And then I wake up and crawl back into my body from some disassociative place, and then I slowly heat up myself. And that's true. I started doing that in 2022, but I realized that that's how I've always kind of lived. Like I've always wanted to live in nests. Everywhere I went, like when I would go to parties, I would pass out in the laundry and I would make a nest in their laundry pile and then wake up in the morning. I'd have a girl next to me, but I subconsciously made a nest for the girl and I to live to go inside. And I would sleep in a refrigerator box when I was like, I don't know how old I stopped, probably 4th grade. I think 5th grade I stopped living in a refrigerator box, but before that it was like a treat for me when my mom got me a refrigerator box and I got to stack it up against the wall, because it felt like I had a pocket of my own world out inside of the world that I could be safe in. And then that helped me when I was institutionalized, because I could stay in my compartmentalized little nest in my head. And that's what let me plot my escape. And that's how I got out. When they were going to keep me there for years, farming me for insurance money. Like my whole body's cold, but it's like I'm a little alien sitting in my body, and that's not cold. So as long as I identify with that and not my body, I don't get cold. And sometimes if I just say I'm warm enough, if I just go I'm warm, I'm warm, I'm warm, it's almost like I get filled up with warmth. Like I stimulate the electromagnetic energy around me, and it vibrates to my will, like I prompted a live action ChatGPT 3000. I was institutionalized because my mom gave me up, and then my dad had a psychosis, I guess you could call it. And it was while I was on acid. And I worked a double shift, but I had just met the band Cheap Trick. So I felt like really inspired, and I felt like I had downloaded like 60 years worth of being a rock star. And then I got home and my dad had ripped all the doors off the hinges, and then before that I wasn't realizing that I was being led by impulses, so I would suddenly get really mad all of a sudden, and I would like slam on I would kick the walls, and I took a hammer and smacked the heater because I would just like get filled up with rage for no reason. So my dad got filled up with the same rage and came at me, and he ended up having a heart attack, and I had to walk like a mile down in like, I think it was in the negatives, and it was on top of a mountain on March 17th, and which is like the peak of winter for us. And then I had no shoes on, I had no jacket, I was in pajamas and socks and a t-shirt, and my fingers were purple by the time I got to the next house down the long road, and I had to fix somebody's landline, and the guy had cancer and was like pretty much dying, and my dad came bursting in screaming, and then I had to drive him back, and then I had to lead the police up to where I was, and then Mom showed up, and then she wouldn't take me in again. She gave me up. She didn't want to be a mom anymore. She's only a mom when the public is watching. She only wants to be a mom when she can talk about how good of a mom she is to community action programs, or she can blast it on social media or tell grandpa. When that's not the case, she's not a mom, and I'm not a person. I'm a dog or a doll. So I'm not mad that the government took me away. But it was bad in there. Psychologically, it was really bad. But I incarnated on this planet with my son in the 8th house, which means that my whole life is going to feel like I'm trapped from adventuring. So I'm glad that I spent my formative years having to escape from one of the hardest escape rooms in the country. Which is poor, rural American with horrific Freemasonic ancient asylums where the kids have sleep paralysis every single night, where they feel demons siphoning their life force energy, and they all wake up lifeless, and the staff have been pretty much possessed by the Stanford prison experiment, and they bully the kids if they have any type of light at all. And we made it out, man. I made it out. Then I got my foster brother Caleb out, and it turns out his last name means descended from the Irish god of fire. And then my last name means descended from the giant who was orphaned at the same age I became homeless, 14, and spent his whole life trying to save the island of Ireland when nobody would be in his corner, and people laughed at him the whole way and nobody would listen to him. And he watched the entire of Ireland get enslaved. And then eventually he got convinced the kids of the people that were his peers to rally with him, and then he just did one big sweep of the island and then kicked them all off in Dublin. And then if you overlaid Ireland over Vermont, place where the final battle took place of Ireland, where the most Vikings were raping the Irish, would be where my hometown is, the toughest town in America, Brattleboro, Vermont, the most Irish part of the country, that's being bought up by a Russian billionaire who's calling the farms that he's building, where he can control the food supply, and the businesses that he's building after buying up local businesses, and the Airbnbs he's building after buying up multi-generational homes. He's calling it Viking villages, Viking farms. And if you go to his website, it's this really long code in Latin about the glory of spreading chaos. My mom's watching right now, but we don't talk. She usually only comes back when she overwhelmed and has this fake story in her head and is trying to convince me to submit to her will, or else there's violence hidden in her ultimatums, and then she just spams me with guilt trips. And then once she can get in, all she does is try to control everything and then turn me into like a doll or a puppet that she can use to get things that she needs from grandpa, or sympathy from the town, or a feeling of pride that she's accomplished something. But in reality, a mom just asks her kid how he's doing and if there's anything she can help with. She doesn't take the back seat for months, and then when she feels like it, rampage into his life, fuck everything up, and demand that he sign himself away, and will lie to police to have him physically tortured, and then threaten him for years that she'll do it again if he doesn't play along with her made-up story that she concocts as she sits in public housing and never leaves, and she hasn't left in a decade because she's afraid she's going to see a Sasquatch if she goes hiking. That's her excuse. My mom's favorite thing in the world is hiking, but she'll never go out in the woods ever again because there might be a Sasquatch. And I'll tell you that the Sasquatch have literally helped through hurricanes. They come out of the fourth dimension. They don't have a physical body anymore, or they choose to remain like in this haze, this mist of confusion. Then they knock down trees, and then they place a tarp, or that allows for an alien to place a tarp on my path that I take every day, and then I used the tarp under the tree that the Bigfoot knocked down, and then I made it through a hurricane. But there are spirit walkers, and there are like dark demonic presences. But they're mostly in the communities that deal with healing people with mental health issues, because of the Stanford prison experiment, and their involvement in that network. For the most part, community mental illness is a disease that's writhing as a conscious entity. So people that are healing that disease with inner work are targeted by what's making people mentally ill. If I have a way to make music, I have a way to adventure to wherever I want, and I have a bed to sleep in, or like a nice place where I don't have to worry about drama outside, I have no mental health issues at all. It's the fact that I haven't been able to get away from anyone. I haven't been able to get away from people with mental illness. In the places where I found safety, the police were the worst bullies, and they made it clear that if I didn't do this, they'd do horrible things to me. In the places I felt safe from the crackheads, the cops would show up. In the place I felt safe from the cops, the crows show up. In the place I felt safe from the cops and the crows and the crackheads, the cunts stop at nothing. In the place that when I finally got past the cunts and I was persevering, I was targeted by pedophiles, and creeps would come into my life every day and were doing tons of this creepy shit that they do to like sneak attack you into submitting to their will, and then try to like gaslight you and groom you into this like uncharted waters where you might be psychologically confused, and then they try to overstep themselves and get into your head and try to convince you it's cool. So for a kid with a brain injury traveling across the country being traumatized constantly, to go through that has a lot of residual effects that's probably going to last me a long time. So that's why I added creeps to crows. And then there's just the traditional like insecure guy that didn't have a good upbringing and has a lot of crazy beliefs, and he'll probably never get laid in his life. Those people tend to be drawn to me all the time, and it seems like they're always trying to siphon my life force energy and become me. So that's the creep category of the crows, cunts, cops, creeps, and crackheads. That follow Casey every day. No, for some reason, I'm the only town. So there, you can. I don't know if you can see it. Hold up. There's a light green hue in the sky. A little bit. There's a tiny bit of green, but for whatever reason, I'm dead center. And then 30 miles away in all directions, the aurora borealis is going. So like 30 miles east from here, we have St. Johnsbury, and St. Johnsbury has it. 30 miles north, we have Newport, and Newport has it. 30 miles south, we have Montpelier, and Montpelier has it. And 30 miles west, we have Burlington, and Burlington has it. But for some reason, I'm like in the eye of the aurora borealis. I don't get it at all. They all get it, and then I don't get it at all. It could be because we're in a mountain range, so all those places are in valleys, and then we're in a big valley that has this giant dome of mountains around us. We're like in a giant crater, basically. And then everywhere else is like on the other side of those mountain ranges. And they're all seeing northern lights every single night, and I don't get to see them at all. Which sucks, but at least, all those places are also overrun with homeless people. This is literally the last place standing. Here and then Newport. But Newport, Vermont specifically cut off all bus routes because they didn't want homeless people. So homeless people, this is as far north as homeless people can get. If you came into Brattleboro or Burlington on a bus and you wanted to get into the sticks, this is the final stop for you before you have to get a bike and go biking or get a car or hitchhike. So this is like the final. So I've been coming from Brattleboro, and slowly every town that I step into, they treat me like shit. They traumatize me. They torture me. They do all the same things, the same patterns of behavior that I'm identifying. And then I try my best to show them the way, and some people wake up to God and some people don't. And I'm not, whatever God is, great spirit, high vibrational energy, just love and having no expectations and loving your neighbor, just whatever sauce I cultivate in contrast to the torture that I've experienced. If they can wake up to that and then they become a part of Casey's tree, and then those people seem to do really well. They become leaders of their community. They get bad bitches. They get gym memberships, and they do the method that Casey created. Casey, like the self-development Casey when he was 14, and they all of a sudden, it's like if they choose to be my friend, which is very rare, that somebody wants to actually accept me. But when they do, they become unfathomably popular in their community, and they're surviving the zombie apocalypse. But everyone else that tortured me and beat me up and did horrible things and ostracized me, made it hard for me to do things, wouldn't let me feel free spiritually, drugged me, siphoned my life force, blocked me from entering businesses, would lie to police to send the police after me, all the stuff that cops did. They're overrun by homeless people, and every single day of their life is hell, where they're dealing with the worst parts of society, rampaging through their streets every day, robbing them blind and making it difficult for them to do anything, making them really physically aggressive. And then hopefully these cops are going to get recorded one day when they finally lash out, because they're not built to handle it. They were pretending to be cops for years, and now they're really dealing with it. And then I've just moved on to the next town, and I get to experience the town where there's no crime. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I got to see this town. I got to hang out at the rivers. I got to go on the bike path. I got to see Lake Elmore. And I'm going to go see some more stuff before all the leaves fall. And then I guarantee you next year when we come back to this place, if I come back to this place, I won't be able to sit out here because there will just be too much going on. The homeless people will have figured out the bus system. They will be going to New York and picking up drugs, and they will be coming and spreading it out. They will be telling more people in the cities like Albany, Springfield, Portland, Manchester, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, Cape Cod. So all the different ways down to New York City through the Amtrak station, now that the Amtrak is back. They're going to be going down there to pick up cheap drugs and sell them for expensive up here. because the Vermonters don't have connections down there. And they're going to be coming through in waves because they know that they can get on Vermont benefit cards. And you know that the world's pretty much woken up that tent living is not so bad. And that as long as you have a river and a food stamp card, it's comfy out there and it's nice, especially because we're in the year of the wood dragon, where the woodland energy is enhanced. So less people are wanting to be around water and more people are going into the forest. That's why Will Survives is popping off. People, that's what the collective consciousness wants to experience. That's what gives them a positive emotion, because those energies and themes are supercharged this year. That's why we don't have any rap at all, but we have tons of country blowing up, like Noah Kahan, Zach Bryan. People that have been doing that type of style for 10 years are finally getting their recognition, like Coulter Wall. John Bellion dropped and it didn't work out because he didn't have any acoustic production. People weren't as interested in John Bellion's return because he was doing what they do in the water years, which is the manipulation of emotional energy. Now in the woodland years, we want to see what you do with what the earth provides. We're not delving through emotional states and swimming through this underwater vortex of intense emotions like we did the past couple years when drill music and Afro beats and stuff that's heavy 808s with like the big wow. People don't want that this year. They want the plucks of the guitar sitting out in the breeze while the storm goes above us. So imagine the content would be a lot cooler, I think, if I could walk around like this with a microphone and I like had you here. Cause I'm in character. Look, I got my cowboy getup on, bro. I'm the cowboy walking around the wildies talking about we're gonna have the crackheads and they're gonna come in from New York, from the cities, and they're gonna invade this place. And we won't be able to have our lifestyle of rolling tobacco and sitting outside by the lake because we're going to have overwhelming hordes of the most negative parts of the world coming in waves consistently. So this place is going to it's going to be like every single day is a real battle. Right now, all we have are just like guys that have families and have full-time jobs that are being possessed by the Matrix, are walking around stores, stomping around, trying to farm each other for spiritual and sexual energy. They're playing power games because they're privileged enough that that's what they're freaking out about. Pretty soon, they're gonna be homeless because the rich are gonna burn down and buy their stuff like they're doing to the rest of the world. I don't think they've raised the property taxes here so much. Most people are going to be moving out and they're all going to be congregating to the places that the government has allowed low property taxes as an incentive to funnelize everyone over the next couple generations into one place that they'll slowly work to death if we don't have a technocratic overlord. So there's a huge mass exodus leaving places with forced congregation, and then all of the outskirts of those places are being burned down, flooded, and then bought by the same companies, BlackRock and Vanguard, and then raping them of their resources. And this is going to be, I think there's a strong contender that this will go, because this is where all those people like to go to not be bothered by the rest of the world. This is where people go and they can dress in normal clothes. Like I saw MGK in Burlington, I saw Lil Uzi Vert in Burlington, and they were just walking around and nobody bothered them. Everybody was like, hey, what's up? It's crazy you're here. Check out this place. Whereas when they go through the city, it's like hordes of screaming people just, like, when Kai Cenat popped out. Kai Cenat could walk down the street here and everyone would be like, oh, I see you on YouTube, bro. But I go through a grocery store and they're like, and then they pretend to look at something and they're like this. They pretend that they're looking at something because I don't know why. It's something spiritual. But that's all happening. They made it this year. They made it illegal to live in an RV in winter. So even if I had gotten an RV last winter, because that was the whole plan, was to get an RV to make it through this winter and have a podcast set up in there, so I could pull up at places and bring the podcast studio out and interview Vermont live. And I'd have a studio in the back and a content creation, and I'd have a big projector screen to throw on movies, and then I'd be throwing parties and would be the guy everyone goes to for fun. That didn't work out, and if that had worked out, I would have had to leave Vermont when winter came anyway, because now it's outlawed. The police are going to be going around finding nice middle-aged couples that are in their RV, and will be doing exactly what they did to me, bullying them, siphoning their life force energy, doing anything that they can to steal that, leave them feeling lifeless and empty inside, and then kicking them out of Vermont. Because their RV will not be welcome anywhere in Vermont once the snow falls. And Phil Scott is taking as much money as he can, and he doesn't care about anyone else. Please hit the like button, guys. Appreciate that. I appreciate that, man. The land grab. Yeah. No, I don't think my algorithm is going to do anything. I can see that once the phone is stagnant and there's light in the background like this, and then I have a setup like a nice mahogany fireplace, and I'm sitting in an old wicker chair, and I've got a microphone, and I'm talking to like the call me daddy girl, then there will be like thousands of people. People will be interested in what I have to say. I don't look the part. People don't want to get the information from this guy. They want me to be someone that they can't get. They want me to be this like idolized, exclusive work of art that it's too far out of their comfort zone to reach, so they'll accept what I'm saying. And all I'm really saying is that if you look around and you let go of all the stories that you're living inside, you understand that there's like tons of stuff going on in the back of your mind right now that's literally covering you in like a veil. If you just kind of say no to it and let it fade out, you'll realize that you're going to start seeing blips hit the side of your face because something's going to try to fill that back of your mind. And then if you pay attention to how your environment responds, if you just hold that focus of no expectations, you'll realize that the wind picks up and the birds start chirping and the crows start cawing and the cars get louder and people start slamming around you, and something really wants to keep you distracted from that present sense of self, because then you understand that you're infinite, you're living water, and you can decide who you are and what you want to do and where you want to go. And then that literally will start, if quantum physics is right, then that state of mind where you're controlling reality regardless of external circumstance, you're literally willing yourself as this entity outside of space and time, outside of the body that you're living inside, and you would be able to control where the reality around you takes you, because you would be able to open up the prompt menu in ChatGPT and set an intention. And with the power that you're developing through cultivating a sense of self based on peace and no expectations of others, that it is just, you have love inside, then this matrix, which is a living entity, would no longer be allowed to eat you alive. You would no longer be in the belly of the whale, Jonah, right? It'd shoot you out the blowhole, and then now you're in the real world, which is the dream realm, which is the fifth dimension that we're ascending towards. And that's why the northern lights are coming down to all the horrible places around me, to be like, look, it's so beautiful. Look at all the things that are going to encode your mind when your imagination connects to it, and you start to perceive those energies and process them subconsciously. And there's exactly from where I'm standing, it's a 30-mile radius around me right here. For whatever reason. It was 30 miles around a grill that I would use to cook pizzas every night, but they just took my grill. So yesterday they took this grill. Today. So I took the remaining barbecue sauce and I'm cold, and then I had my pizzas in there so I could heat them up today. I'm gonna put the pizza over the O. And I'll probably get arrested because there's a camera here. It's looking right at me. It's doing the green blinking light. So, which means somebody's watching. Somebody is sitting there on the computer watching me right now. Because for most nights, it's red. Which means that somebody's watching. So, it's right before an 11 day. And 11 days are powerful days for having a vision or a dream in life. It's the transitory day where you can incorporate energies from higher and lower dimensions that you take with you until the 22 day. And then the 22 day is when it's grown and cultivated into, that's when you start building. So you dream up the 11 day, you work with the 11 energies in your manifestation, that around the 22 day, that's when you start to implement what you've learned and start to really, that's the master builder. So that's when all the thought forms that you cultivated and all of your Legos can be utilized to build the thing that you're trying to build. And then in the 29th and the 30th, that transitional day is when you express what you made. That's when you should be releasing songs. That's when you should be dropping albums, is in that transitional state. But also the 29th is usually the first day, the first master number day of the new zodiac. So at the same time, also you have the 19th through 22nd of every month, which is the transitional time of the zodiacs. When the zodiac element changes over. Is there two back-to-back elements? It's Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius. And so there's no overlap in elements. Except between December 1st and 17th, when it moves into Sagittarius Ophiuchus, and the Ophiuchus is the tree sign. It's literally a tree. It's the serpent bearer, like Cernunnos, the Irish god of the wild that has the snake around his hand. It's the serpent wrestler. It's the guy that deals with the truth. So that river of truth, it plays a role there too, because he doesn't have an element. December 1st to 17th, there's no elemental charge for the people that are born on that day, because it's the supposed culmination of everything else. Everything else exists because of this 13th sign. It's like Jesus and the 12 apostles. And then that's the reason McDonald's has the big overarching M, the 13th. That's a secret esoteric thing for you, the 13 and the 12. So that 13th sign, which I'm right in the middle. I'm the master number of the Ophiuchus. It's the only master number that you can have in the Ophiuchus season, which is right in the middle. So it makes sense that I have all this tie to Cernunnos, and the 11 is the supercharged version of the sign that deals with handling all the different energies with the grounded truth. And people say that Ophiuchus takes from Sagittarius and Scorpio. And I feel like that makes sense. Because I never, like, when I hung out with people that are Sagittarius, they really are philosophical, strong-minded, stern, and care at the same time. They're like this rampaging, carefree force. And then Scorpios do tend to be these like dramatic, but sexually charged. Talking about the fertile life force energy with that deepened emotional state, and they do tend to be in positions where they like want to influence others as like the shamanistic thing. So whatever, like shamans convert energy and they see into the veil to pick out things and identify them for people, and they help with rituals and manifestations. So a Sagittarius Scorpio would be like this traveling force inside of the spirit realm. Instead of like the adventuring passionate fireball, it's like this big vortex going woo through the universe, which makes sense. Of like, I keep coming. That's why the Celtics called it the hawk. That's why they said that time of the year they're under the hawk sign. And being an 11 in that means that I have access to the entire range of outside Earth at the same time with the higher and lower dimensions. I have access to, I can pull from those types of energies really easily because I live in all three at once. So it would make sense that my name is after the tree. My name means the tree of life, right? A traveling tree of life. The name traveled from Africa all the way to America for like over 3,000 years. It's like one of the only names that is older than the Bible that is still present today. You don't see people walking around with Thoth, or I can't think of other names. What's the other one? Like Enki. You don't see, those names didn't really transfer over, but Acacia, Kehasa, Kathase, Casey, and then just the initials KC has made it. So that's a really old name. And 11s are supposed to have old souls. But the oldest souls possible on this planet are 33s. And I was born on the 11th on a day that makes me a 33 life path. And I was a C-section birth where I had to come out that day. I was supposed to be born in the winter solstice, and I would have been a full-blown Sagittarius Capricorn. But I came out with that all this special stuff surrounding my essence, maybe, and all my narrative. I don't know that. So for me, when I start talking like that, it's like a root from a higher, like a bigger tree that I think is my higher self. A root from that tree grows into the back of my neck, and then I just start speaking from my higher self, my exalted version, my exalted self. If that makes sense. The 33 Casey, the oversoul, comes through, and that's when I can just go for hours, and I don't stop. I really believe that's what it is. I don't really have to think about it at all. And I usually have messages when I talk like that, like make sure that it's like necessary right now that if you guys have any type of living room space, to keep the living room and kitchen space clean so that you can go into the kitchen. And if you have like a wooden floor, wherever you can have a wooden floor, if you have like a hardwood floor anywhere, turn that into your push-up space so that you can lay on the wooden floor. And that will help imbue you with the wood dragon, wood snake year to have a comfortable wood space that's projecting the element of wood into your mind that you also do push-ups on, so you keep your focus and work with. That's your palette, which will allow you to work with the higher vibrational energies that are stimulating the collective consciousness, right? I didn't have to think about that. I didn't spend all day thinking about that. That came to my head from my higher self. You fucking bitch. I'm really cold. I'm gonna have to leave in the morning. I miss my dad. I'll never get my childhood home back because the rich people stole it. The rich people usurped my kingdom. The Targaryens usurped my throne, and I was forced to wander through the apocalypse while a piece of shit, coke-addicted, trust fund baby is having parties in my home that I was going to raise my children in, on top of a mountain that has an eagle and tons of hummingbirds on Hummingbird Way. I was going to have an entire kingdom on a mountain, and they stole that from me. And then all my people I came up with mutinied and left me up to die. And I was forced to traverse the wastelands as a feral, degraded animal, barely holding on, and somehow I survived. Through sheer will and the ancestors in my DNA that kept me feeling warm and safe. And I'm here just trying to make my songs, man, and try to make my content. And I keep getting to this point where I feel like I'm an overflowing cup that wants to explode into the world. I want to get everyone rallied up like I did yesterday. And then I'm like, they don't deserve it. I get to the point and I'm like, wow, look at all these people I'm around that if I didn't have this overwhelming, blissful, godly emotion, would spit at me and walk by me as I suffered on the street. So I don't do it, and then I regret it. Like 6 months go by, and I'm like, fuck, I should have done it. I should have performed on stage. I should have done it, even if I knew that they were just going to steal my threshold and try to outdo me. Instead, I held it and kept it sacred and then let them fall out of existence. Something keeps hitting my head and telling me that people are going to look back on these live streams like they look back on manuscripts from Alexander the Great. And I don't like that they keep saying that, because I know Alexander the Great was a homo, but I know that that's not what they were talking about. They weren't talking about that the Romans were fags. They're talking about that Alexander the Great conquered like half the world. But he couldn't beat Brennus. There was a group of Celtic survivors that sacked Rome. And it was a Celtic man with a eagle helmet named Brennus. And last year there was a girl that had tan skin and an eagle tattoo that was working at a homeless resource action center, and she was really into me. And she was built. She wasn't like stocky, but she was like obviously like it looked like a Spartan warrior princess, and her name was Brenna. And I told her about the Brennus thing, and she's like, "Wow, that's actually like all my parents and my family members have eagle tattoos, and we're really drawn to. We're not Italian, we're Germanic, Irish." I'm like, okay, so your bloodline was Celtic. And you're named after the Celtic person 400 years before Jesus that sacked Rome when everyone else fled. And you deal with the overwhelming hordes of homeless people all day, every day, fighting them back emotionally. I wish in 2023 I wasn't heavily smoking cigarettes, overweight, depressed, crazy, and full of smegma. So I would have done self-defense classes with her and probably had a really nice relationship. But instead, I chose to like be out there as a bum, and I ended up hooking up with a yoga instructor that tried to sacrifice me to a dragon. Right. Jesus. I had a dream that Mr. Beast allowed me to go into his spiritual YouTube games. And I was in an arena with there was like, we were running up these mountains in the woods, and there were trails through all the mountains. And then depending on your style of YouTube channel, you had a choice between which game you would do. And I remember one of my friends that is a YouTuber, but she's kind of depressed and lives in LA and doesn't make content anymore. And she just sits at Venice Beach with the skateboarders and just kind of hangs out. She's kind of fat, so she doesn't like to skateboard, but she hangs out with the skater kids. And she's a 33 life path too, and her name means powerful and complete. So that's why I think that she was ugly, and that she's going to have trouble with relationships, because she's through life path whose name means complete and powerful. She doesn't need other people. So her whole life is going to be dedicated to her works, because she's never going to be praised on looks, which sucks. I think I'm a 33. I had to do self-help. I had to like chisel myself out and grow into being someone that people find attractive. What was my point? She was there, and she chose to go to the arts and crafts section. There was a whole slope dedicated to all the warriors of content creation, and they were going up the slope that was headed towards like channels that do paper mache and arts and crafts and DIY, not like DIY building like bushcraft, but DIY like making headdresses and teaching people how to do jewelry stuff and cosmetics. So whatever that means spiritually, like that could be like a whole bunch of different things and a whole bunch of different vibes and styles of making content. And I was like, I had a choice to go through any of them, and I was like, where's the one where's all the action? And then I went up the sports and the athletes, and they took off running, and it was like big burly dudes, and there was like young kids that were white that were like sprinters on track and field, and they all took off running, and I was late to the party anyway. Like most of them were already halfway up the mountain by the time I had made a choice. And I made it like halfway, and they were already coming down because they finished the race, and I had made it like halfway up. And then I got on a dirt bike and then rode the dirt bike halfway down and hit all the jumps and didn't hang out with those guys. And then there was a dream where one of my ex-girlfriends that I thought about getting back together with, who left me for a dork, like a real piece of garbage. Just like obviously a really fucked up person mentally, but she was also really messed up, and she had cut, like, after a week of dating her, she cheated. So she went back to her ex-boyfriend a week after dating me, and I was really in love with her because I'd loved her for like 7 years. And then after I hit the pole and I was rendered an invalid psychologically, then she realized what she lost and she took me in. But she couldn't handle it because she was a senior in high school and I was 19. So she got back with her ex, and she said that now that we're older, and I kind of taught her everything, which really helped her. She said as soon as she slept with him, all of her life force got sucked out, and she had a panic attack when she got filled up with demonic energy, and they like attached themselves to her. She like succumbed to temptation. And I was like, I know. So what I did for payback is I didn't really help her. Like, she had mental health issues, and I was like, if you want to come to my house, you can come to my house. But I didn't explain to her problems. I didn't give her the solutions that she obviously needed, and let her go down whatever road she wanted. And I was like, as soon as she apologizes, she's never apologized for what she did. Like, she did a bunch of bad things. Like, she'd come home and I'd be like trying to play Minecraft and my brain wasn't working well, and she would start telling me about all the guys that she works with, and like a guy that slapped her butt at work, kind of because she thought that TikTok was convincing her that I wasn't manning up. Real men don't sit in public housing. Real men go get jobs. Real men work and provide. And TikTok was telling me women are bound to sleep with as many men as possible and they'll never be committed to one guy. Wake up, take the red pill. So I just waited for her to give me one apology, and she never did. She never woke up and realized that like maybe she wasn't getting what she, one, because I had a literal disability now, and two, she didn't deserve it. She would come home crying, and she'd post on her Visco that, how come I have to fight so hard to be loved? And I'm like, you don't believe what you've done to me was wrong. Why would I invest in you? You're going to be my fleshlight, and I'm going to keep you addicted to my buzzer. Sorry, sorry, Mom. Sorry for you have to hear that. But I had a dream that I like walked into the darkness, and I walked a long way through the darkness, and then she was sitting very deep in the darkness with a tiny little light. And I was like, do you want to get back together? And she was like, no, I'm with him now. And she showed me, like, she thought that it was this giant knight in shining armor, but he was brainwashing her, and he was like this grotesque fat tub of like pickle juice and pimples. But when she looked at him, she thought that he was this big thing because he had trauma bonded her and used like hood culture because she was gullible, because she was rich, but also traumatized. It was just a big illusion because she was in the darkness. She's probably extremely depressed and probably an alcoholic. So I wasn't going to identify that it was like a mask. And I was like, whatever. Was he better than me? And she was like, duh, obviously, like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, if you want to believe that, goodbye. And then I walked back out of the darkness, and I heard her scream as the shadows engulfed her. And then I woke up. So I was like, sorry. And then a tarot reading told me about the guy that just left his ex behind. It's okay. She deserved what happened to her. She was not meant for you. And I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. That must be really hard to let them go. And I was like, oh, thank you, algorithm, for understanding my thoughts. Thank you for microchipping me and being able to read what my dream was so that you could find the perfect video accordingly. And they displayed a video from like 6 months prior that perfectly helped me get over what I was going through in another dimension. You feel me? You know me, just hanging out. So I'm cold. Is it past midnight? Nope, it's not even midnight. This is nowhere near how cold it's going to be. How long have I been talking? For 2 hours? All I really do is watch apocalypse survival videos and Smosh, and I go on Marketplace, and I just scroll through Marketplace, saving tons of things that could be helpful in the future if I suddenly get a surge of donation money. And then I just like try to do like imagination games and work energies out and get back to making songs. But it's gonna be a lot, man. Like, I need a heater. Let me put this back up here and see if the algorithm puts more people in my feed. Algorithm, put more people on my channel. Let's see if it pops up. Let's take this off. Hello, hello, hello. Eventually I will make a new Instagram, and that will be the best way to hit me up. like if I have a moderator, if I keep doing this and I have a moderator and the moderator bans people, the best way to get unbanned would be to hit me up on Instagram. The problem I had before, this is just a rapper, I thought it was like a piece of garbage. People were going on my Instagram and then were spamming all my posts talking about what a piece of shit I am for begging for subscribers on YouTube live streams. They were like, it was like, they must have had to have like 3 or 4 accounts and it was the same person. But to me, it looked like there was 10 other people that were like flooding my social media every day. And then my Instagram got deleted. So I lost my Instagram, which sucks. Does it look like I raid trash? I look like Dia de los Muertos. Comprende? Puedo ir al baño, am I right? That's pretty cool. That's pretty fucked up for people that are scrolling. Where are all the kids that are doing drugs? Remember, there were so many kids that were getting high and they would find my videos and it would make them have panic attacks and they would escape the simulation. Vivid, horrible spiritual awakenings because of the shit that I said rambling when they would do drugs and get high and then scroll on YouTube live streams at night. These 12-year-old kids. That was a huge part of my demographic for most of August. I have bones. And they have chills. What was I saying? Oh, the stuff I need. I mean, I could use a heater, a bigger backpack. I want a guitar case, ammo for the gun, protection dog. Canvas, I think I said canvas tent with a heater. Probably snowshoes and a shovel. I want a job, man, but I don't. Like, I've kind of just decided that FedEx is probably my fate. I've decided I'm probably not going to blow up, and Andrew Tate is not going to realize that I'm going through a life harder than he's going through and doing more than he's doing for a better reason. And I'm not lying or pandering to the public. And that Andrew Tate's mostly just a giant child. He's probably not going to find this video and then give me $100,000. So I like the anti-content route. I like that I'm doing things and making progress and I'm not hiring an editor and I'm not making the YouTube lives pander to people's attention spans. I like that this is raw. I like that about my content. So I do that. I like that I went to a protest and it wasn't recorded like a vlogging style. Yeah. Appreciate that, man. Like, I have tons of cool videos that are not traditional. Like in YouTube, if I wanted to blow up and get 20,000 subscribers right now, I could put a mic on and I could walk around a Walmart and just make fart noises. Like, I could get a fart machine and then walk around Walmart and go, come on, man, really, in Walmart? And then record the rednecks with the guns that try to kill me. And then get trespassed from Walmart. And then have the police show up and see how the police fuck with me. I think what happened was I got off food, like my food stamps ended. And I wasn't technically eligible because I owed them money because they found out that I was door dashing. So I had to wait a couple months. And then in those couple months, the stuff with the police happened. And that put me in a really bad spot. And I started just buying McDonald's every day again. I would spend $4.99 plus $1.25 on a drink. And somehow that ended up being all of my donation money every time it came in. It all went to McDonald's and food. And occasional stuff on Marketplace like phone chargers and socks and shit like that. What else? Yeah, and then when I had to move and I moved down to the riverside, the only store nearby was Cumbies. So Cumbies was expensive. So most of, like, for probably $500 worth of stuff from Heather that she gave me to get my life in order. I spent on food. So that's why I'm not upset that I'm not farther along than I am. Because I would have a guitar now, and I would have had songs, and I could have gone around with a camcorder and done what Radio West Virginia is doing. If you go on, just go on YouTube and look up Vermont music, you'll find like 3 or 4 videos. But this is one of the most talented places that I've seen across the country. It's got a unique blend of energies and styles, but we're poor. This is the poor area, and the people are stupid. They might have talent and insight, but they're stupid. That's one of the whole reasons I was making YouTube, was to find an investor to help me buy land out here so I could stay here and commit to making it a better place. The reason I was like, I want $100,000 from Andrew Tate, Justin Waller, is because the property taxes are so huge here. I wanted to get land that I could stay here and commit to making it better for the multi-generational families that are being raped and bled dry until they have to leave and they get replaced by rich cunts while the police rape us and the drug dealers are winning. That's all I wanted. I wanted to be able to pick out needles in the haystack. And coincidentally, I used to have a house on top of Haystack Mountain at the end of Hummingbird Way. I had a whole ski chalet to myself and an entire abandoned mountain resort to myself. I could walk whenever I felt like it as a young child. And that got taken by rich people. Rich people probably paid police to beat the fuck out of my father and render him useless. And then we lost the house. And then we lost another house. And then we lost another house. And then $2 million worth of assets went down the drain because of rich men in New Jersey and New York that took it for themselves and took advantage of Vermonters because we're not city sharp. We use our hearts and we don't use our minds. We like, if you want to sit out and feel happy, this is a good place. We used to be a good place for that, but rich men have just taken everything. So I made YouTube content back then because I was hoping Justin Waller or John Zerker or GG33 or Andrew Tate, or the people that are supposed to be in the red pill movement that are trying to save the world, would identify that I'm in ground zero. I'm in the control experiment for utopia, where nature and people are blended in a way that isn't anywhere else in the country that I've seen traveling. We're living in harmony with nature, and they're destroying us. And it's literally called the Green Mountain. So if you were really trying to build if Andrew Tate, clip this, if Andrew Tate was really trying to build a utopia, he would have built a town by now. And I've been flooding the masses that this is the place to do it. The Green Mountains. This is the place to build intentional communities and have them be self-sustainable and thriving. We have police that are raping young girls, and because nobody else wants to be cops, they get back out on the force to do it again. The judges are corrupt Freemasons that are still doing rituals. They're still doing rituals to harvest sexual energy from the defendants. They still wear the aprons here. This is still a sundown town where they're hunting down immigrants and they're putting them in pens. They're flaying their fingers and then gambling how quick they can catch a chicken with its head cut off. There are pedophiles that just go down the street, find homeless kids that are strung out on drugs, and rape them at gunpoint. And it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's a unique, beautiful place that deserves to be better than it is. And I'm here on the front lines as a wild East cowboy, suffering through it, trying to make a difference, working with communities, working with community action programs, going up to the people that are in charge of the government. I walked up to senators. When they were going to Planet Fitness to get their steps in. I walked up to senators and like, what are you going to do about when the homeless people get here? What are your plans for intentional communities? What are your plans for solar panels? Why don't we have access to chickens easily? Why don't you have chicken pens like other states have Petco that you can go in and get chicken babies? Why is it hard to get chickens for us when we're out here farming? This is a farm community. Why have you made it hard for us to be self-sustainable when we're supposed to be an independent state? Why are you slowly ruining multi-generational families so that you can get money from rich investors when you could be making this a giant amusement park for everyone to enjoy and want to come to? Why did you choose that route, sir? And then he whipped his coffee at me. And whipped his coffee at me outside the Starbucks in Burlington. Whoever he was the guy with a senator plate on his car. And I tried. And then I followed him. I got so mad I followed him to Planet Fitness, and I sat outside because I'm trespassed. And I sat outside and waited for him, and he saw me through the window for an hour. And I seem to be the only one that cares, that has a head on his shoulders that isn't queer. Because we're in Vermont. And Vermont's crazy or it's addicted to drugs. We have a whole town full of trans. Our homeless program for youth weekly has drag queens come in full drag, looking slutty, and educates homeless youth. So imagine you have no food. The only people that came to help you tried to rape you. They won't let you get food from anywhere. And if you steal, the cops will beat you up and leave you there. You have to have a gun and a hatchet if you can afford a gun. You have to have defense weapons against crackheads and 60-year-old people that have been homeless their whole life, that are running free, used to being in cities. So they're trying to get these kids hooked on drugs. Then you finally are brave enough to go back into society and try to get help and go to a shelter program. And you have to sit there and let a drag queen tell you it's okay that they're gay. It's like, we don't care what goes up your ass. We're cold. Please leave us alone. And they're like, in the shelter program, they have posters of guys and girls and girls and girls and girls and guys kissing. And they have pride flags everywhere. And I'm like, these kids are hooked on crack. I literally had to carry a kid to a hospital that overdosed on meth and heroin at the same time. You can't overdose on meth, but he passed out on meth, and then they shot him full of heroin to see what would happen, which is rare for them to waste money like that. But they did it to kill the kid because the guy wanted his energy. He wanted to swap souls with the kid. And to me, it looked like it worked. When I got there, that kid seemed like he was the embodiment of that guy. And that guy was walking around taller, brighter skin. The collagen on his skin is healed. It was the middle of winter, and suddenly he starts looking like the kid. So I'm pretty sure they do pagan rituals out here too. Andrew Tate said that he has that cobra like Cernanos. He has the snake on his arm, so that when he shakes people's hands, he can absorb all their energy. And that's how he became famous. That's what he said. Andrew said he became famous by absorbing other people's energy. And I have dreams where he's in a piece of shit child's toy throne, and I'm in a giant wicker tree that grew into a chair, and I'm connected to the woods, and I'm this giant tree man in my own throne that I grew out of myself. And and sometimes I go to Andrew Tate's place, sometimes he comes to me. But it's him in like a shitty throne, and I'm in the big throne like that, and we're just staring each other down, and I'm getting a feel of what his vibes are like, and he's getting a feel of what my vibes are like, and it's always like I'm swatting away childish behavior while his dad watches or Tristan Tate's watching. It's just like he's coming to me like, and I have to be like, I'm also a Sagittarius. The resonant frequency that I leave with in the dream, the content that he drops the next day is an expression of that. When he goes, and he stands there. Look up my old videos, bro. I also have dreams about Casey Rocket, Kai Cenat, Kurt Kaz, Kendrick Curry, Cassius Culpepper. and then a bunch of people in my family and communities. And occasionally I'll meet someone that I don't know who that is. And then like 6 months later, he'll pop up on my For You page. And I'm like, I remember I had a dream that he was in this area with me. And I had to like, it's basically like I'm just doing my own thing. And then these people are seeing me in the dream realm. And that gives them like a whoa. And then that whoa is like embedded with tons of different codes and emotional states and information that they incorporate into their art. And it takes them further down the hero's journey. It's literally written into the hero's journey. When you look up Homer's Odyssey and the adventure cycle, like the snake that's eating itself. It's just tons of different of those events I'm talking about where all these younger souls are on their journey. And then maybe I bless them with like a branch. And then they become a representation of something I created 10 years ago in my mind. I spent a year trying to make the Kingdom of Creative Champions take over the world with their ability to fight through. And then the KCC won the Super Bowl. So I spent a whole year trying to make my KCC win. And then the KCC won the Super Bowl. And then tons of KCCs sprouted up out of the ground. Kurt Kaz Conquest, Kelly Creative Collective. I'm sure there are other KCCs that you can figure out that sprouted up in the past 2 years. But from what I'm seeing, there are more and more KCs every day, KC or KCs. And it's just the more that I rampage through, it's like I'm growing. People are getting inspired to name it KC. I started Twitch streaming, I started streaming and making content like 2 years before Kai Cenat had made a YouTube video. And then I'm as KC33, and then KC3 pops up and he's got an Irish clover chain. And he lived next to my grandfather's old restaurant in Bronx. I don't know. But there's not much, I've got $50. There's not much I can do. Other than that, that's prime content. It looks cool. If somebody stumbles upon that scrolling, if I turn it into a YouTube short, edit it well with the big bubble editors, pop, to stimulate you. Then there's opportunities for growth, and it's the truth, and it's a truth that nobody's able to recognize right now. So I pooped in a laundromat and I took out the trash. But I had a dream I was on Smosh, which is really cool. I got to do an entire Try Not to Laugh episode in my dream, where I was sentient and conscious of the dream, where I knew what I was in, and I got to do it. They took me out of this place, and they kept me lucid, whatever force does that. And then they dropped me into Smosh to see if I could do it, if I could work through all the different characters in Smosh, they have 50 employees. If I could work through them, if I could go there, and then they brought me up a giant staircase to a lit arena full of high school kids. And they had me perform like they do in Smosh. They're not lit, they're not extremely epic. When you look at the Smosh videos, it's not like they're the Try Not to Laugh videos. It's not like they're putting on really intricate plays. So I did that. I had what it was. The first thing I did was just catch him by surprise, which is the first part of comedy. Oh, come on. Just catch him by. I'm under a sleeping bag. The sleeping bag isn't so bad. I'm gonna stay here all night, and then I'm gonna go try to sleep in a tent. I don't really sleep. I just kind of go in and out of this hazy dream realm because I'm freezing cold. But there's a lot of content today. I think it would be really cool if they take all the good bits and pieces of content, and I think that would be the best representation of things to make it entertaining and cinematic as we slowly work towards bigger backpack, camera, drone, guitar, computer, protection dog, I said drone, maybe a peregrine falcon, maybe a lightsaber, no, and self-defense equipment, better boots, better clothes. Hit the streets. I'm gonna go to sleep. Thank you for watching. Like, comment. You guys are here. Oh god. Alright. Now I'm getting flooded with people. There's now an influx of people.